Hey everybody, Guilty here, and I'm not too sure what happened when I recorded this episode. Uh, RTX was all sorts of disabled and goofed up for whatever reason, so this entire, hour that I was playing, I thought I was recording, I guess I didn't bother checking my audio input, because nothing recorded. Did a little troubleshooting, and looks like we're back. RTX voice is working again. So, we picked up where we left off in Sector 8. Here we are in Midgar, just doing some shit on the side. There's a reference to Final Fantasy VI up there, the Mount Colts or whatever. It's also on display in Final Fantasy VII on the side of one of the buildings. Shortly after you escape from the Reactor 1 mission, you're making your way through all 4 screens of Sector 8. You can see a big Mount Colts mural or display or something along those lines. And I never really picked up on what it was until recently. I was watching, I think, a Pro Jared video on Final Fantasy VI, a game I've never played, but I have it on here because I intend to play it eventually. And he made a mention to Mount Colts as a setting in the game, and then I was playing 7 later that day, and I saw that, and I was like, oh shit, look at that. A subtle reference to a previous game, little Easter egg. I don't think anybody's ever picked up on that before, because I'm sure I would have read it somewhere. I don't know. So anyway, here we are interacting with these females that have these different fan clubs for Angeal, Sephiroth, and Genesis. You can sign up for these fan clubs and get emails, and at this point in time, the emails don't really divulge anything groundbreaking, so you might seem pointless at first, but I think later on in the campaign, we will get to a point where whatever it is they have to say, is relevant and matters. And I do recall, and I made a reference to this when I was recording this, that in the remake, while you're doing the Corneo Coliseum, after you complete the different battles, you get flowers and you get some shit put up outside your room, and there's like a board, and it's in Japanese, but from what I remember reading, translated, it makes a reference to the Cloud fan club. There's a lot of people that are watching Cloud in the Corneo Coliseum, and they're like, bro, that dude's legit, so they create a fan club, and I think that's a reference to the different fan clubs that are in this game. And they talk about all the soldier first classes of any merit have fan club. Here we have Genesis fan club newsletter. From the Red Leather organization, there's another organization for Genesis that's more oriented around his obsession with Loveless, which in the original game, Loveless was seen on some billboards in Midgar, and that was it. There was no reference to it. Nobody really knew what it was. It was just a big display. How about Loveless? And that was really all you knew about it. But then with this game, Loveless is a play, and the final act is missing. So the play doesn't have a concrete ending. And for whatever reason, Genesis thinks that Loveless is more than just a play. He thinks that he and Angeal and Sephiroth actually represent the characters in Loveless. He thinks it's sort of autobiographical by proxy, I guess. So he quotes the book a lot in this game. Sephiroth is just like, how can I do anything? How can I live a normal life with you constantly reciting fucking Loveless passages behind me every goddamn day? So he makes a reference to that. That's actually in the next video. He doesn't say it in those words, but close to it. So Loveless, I guess, has some significance here. You're on Loveless Avenue here in Sector 8. I can't remember from Remake if there is a Loveless Avenue. I'm sure there is. I think it might be the same street. Ooh, excuse me. Where you meet Aerith and you run into the Whispers for the first time. But I don't remember any. And then there's NPCs. There's NPCs that make reference to Loveless, how they're gonna go see it or something. But I think it's really, I think it's just a wink and a nod to Crisis Core, really. And there are a few, which is what I was saying in the last video, that the references in Remake to previous games just shows that really nothing's off the table. That everything that we're presented with mechanic-wise and gameplay-wise and story-wise could be, that's weird. There's a weird gap in the environment back there where you can see the clouds. But I don't think anything's really off the table. In the next video, Zack gets promoted and Materia Fusion becomes available. And I could see Materia Fusion being a mechanic explored in future Remake installments. They sort of did that with the weapon upgrades in Remake. How you have these different cores for all these weapons, and it keeps them relevant. I thought that was an awesome thing that they did, is that you have the Buster Sword, right? And the Buster Sword isn't just some initial equipment garbage sword with 2 materia slots and that's it. You use it for, the first couple hours, then you steal Hard Edge in the Shinra headquarters, and then you never go back to the Buster Sword. Because that's how it is in the OG. You never go back to the Buster Sword. There is no reason. It's not like Apocalypse, which has triple materia growth. It's not like fucking Ultima Weapon, even though it has 0 materia growth, it is maxed out when it comes to materia slots. It has like 4 fucking pairs. No, with the upgrade weapons mechanic, you can max out these weapons, and as you do this, you are adding buffs, you are adding like traits that could be unique to that weapon, or maybe it shares a trait or a skill with just one other weapon. I think half of Cloud's swords have Reprieve, where it's like a get out of jail free card. If you get fucked up and you get killed, it restores you to 1 HP. It's a prevent death, just one time. And I can't remember if the Buster Sword has that, but there's a few weapons that have it, and it keeps you from viewing weapons as a strictly like ascension-based priority. I'm trying to find a way, so weapons in the original game, you scaled like a ladder. You grabbed the first rung, the Buster Sword, and then after a while you grab the next rung in Hard Edge, and after a while you grab the next rung in the Mithril Saber, and then you just kept on going and going and going until you got to Heaven's Cloud, Apocalypse, Ragnarok, and Ultima Weapon. And those would be like the weapons you'd revolve through, you'd rotate through depending on your circumstance, but you would never go back to Mithril Saber or Hard Edge or Buster Sword. You never go back to that shit. So it's strictly one way. But in the remake, it is not like that. You could switch back and forth. You could grab the Mithril Saber if you want your Cloud to be like a fucking black mage. If you want his magic stat to be as high as it could be, you're going to run around with Mithril Saber. If you want him to be well balanced, you could use the Twin Stinger, or you could use the Buster Sword. As you add in stats and you buff up the Buster Sword, it's not that bad. I want to say it's like 94 on physical and magic attack, and it actually adds a little bit to physical defense too. Can't recall if it adds anything to magic defense. Oh shit. But it's not useless, even though you have these other weapons that you could play with. The Buster Sword is never rendered useless, which is fucking awesome. And all the weapons are like that. Tifa's Purple Pain is not the strongest equipment you could give her, but it is the only one that increases her chance for critical hits as much as it does. It's the only one. It's top tier if you want a luck-based build for Tifa. If you want her to be just straight up maxed out physical attack, you'd give her, I want to say, the Metal Knuckles. If you want her speed to be a bit more bolstered, I think that's when you would use not mithril claws, the other one, the one with the feathers or some shit. The one pair of gloves that she has with the materia slots, I don't think she ever wore that shit. I don't think I ever equipped that shit on her. I went through all of Barrett's weapons. I gave Barrett Gatling guns and the melee weapons, and I would switch back and forth. I would have him do long range shit. I would have him do up close, in your face, just beat down, smash down, just fucking up everybody. I would just alternate between, I guess you could say, the only two styles of play there are with Barrett, melee or long range. Aerith, I would kind of do the same. I would rotate through 3, maybe 4 of her staves, because some of them were strong with magic, some of them had buffs that you couldn't find in other weapons. But Tifa, I've had purple paint on for the longest time because I give her 2 maxed out luck ups, because she's so fast, and the amount of hits per second, I guess, it's off the chart. She's so fucking quick. And if you increase the likelihood that each of those hits crits, well then holy shit, why would I not try to take advantage of that? So purple paint's been on her pretty much my entire hard mode run. I might have given her metal knuckles once or twice just to make her super OP, because her physical stats will be just buku high. But I think Tifa's had the same 2 gloves. I've alternated between 2 gloves with Tifa, the 2 playstyles for Barrett. But Cloud, I've used Mithril Saber for magic. I've used Twin Stinger if I wanted to run around with a bitchin' ass looking sword. I don't think I've used the Iron Blade, that second sword that you can get in Sector 7. I don't think I used that at all after I got to Wall Market and bought Hard Edge. I think once that happened, I was like, yep, Hard Edge, because Hard Edge is his strongest sword. So I'll use Hard Edge if I need to do as much damage as possible per hit, physically speaking. Mithril Sword, obviously, for the magic, I already mentioned that. But that Iron Saber, Iron Sword, no, that thing's been collecting dust since I put it down for the Hard Edge in, what was that? Chapter 7? Chapter 9. Because Chapter 8 is when you meet Aerith and you fight Reno. So yeah. Chapter 9, you finally get Hard Edge. And Hard Edge is fucking huge. Hard Edge was not that big in the OG. Hard Edge was like half of Cloud's size. It might have been 2/3 the length of the Buster Sword. The Buster Sword was, yeah, it's fucking as tall as Cloud. Cloud's not short. I think he's like 5'11". And the Buster Sword is pretty much as tall as he is. In OG, Hard Edge is not. In Remake, all the fucking swords are as big, if not bigger, than Cloud. Hard Edge, when I first bought that, I mean, it's on YouTube. I first bought it, I am positive. I went, holy fuck, that is a big sword. Because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how big of a fucking sword it is. And I think, to me, it was jarring, because I know that in OG, Hard Edge it looks almost like a normal sword. It's got a goofy shape. It's different in that respect. But lengthwise, it wasn't extraordinary. But in Remake, holy fuck, it's like you're swinging a school bus around. I ain't never seen some shit like that before. I liked how you could have. I liked what they did with the weapons. The weapons all look good. I was wondering, before the game released, when they were talking about how you could upgrade weapons and you could add materia slots, I was like, how the fuck are they going to do that? The Buster Sword is iconic. Part of its image is just the 2 materia slots. So are additional materia slots going to manifest on the sword? No, they never did. The image of the weapon, as it is, it never changes. So Hard Edge, I want to say, has 3, and you can tell that 2 of them are linked. And then Twin Stinger has the 4, but even if you add materia slots to it in the upgrade tree, it doesn't change what it looks like, which is cool. I don't have to think about that. At first, I was wondering like, oh, the materia, there's materia built into the weapon. So I was like, oh, that's the support materia. That's the blue shit. You know, maybe there's not going to be blue materia in the game because it's in the sword. Because blue is support, and you are improving upon the weapon's ability to support you as an individual, boost up your strength, defense, all that other shit. And then they introduced blue materia, and I was proven very, very wrong. And then, I'm so happy they did that. I am happy they did not omit materia types. They're all there. Green, purple, yellow, blue, red. They're all there. It's awesome. There's subtle, unspoken references to white and black materia with holy and meteor, but the 5 materia classes based on their colors, they're all there. I'm glad they did that. It's interesting how they did summons, how you can only equip the 1, and that they sort of come out based off of context. They're not going to come out for any old battle, which is good. You don't want to abuse the shit out of it. I mean, and you totally could. It would take forever. In OG, you could go into every battle and just summon Neo Bahamut and just be done with every battle the first disc. Wipe out everything. It'd be quicker to just attack everything or just use, traditional magic, just fight like you're supposed to. But they didn't want anybody to just cheese the game by summoning fucking Ifrit or Bahamut, have them come through, wipe the fucking floor with everybody, and then move on. So what they did, making summons partner up with you, kind of like in Final Fantasy XII, but you can kind of give commands to them, like in Final Fantasy X. I think that was a good blend. I think that was... I can't say brilliant, because they've done it before, obviously. I just said they did it in 10 and 12. But it was a good idea. And it's great how they made summons relevant. It's great how they made summons fit into the story contextually. Like when they're in Shinra headquarters and they play the movie, and Shinra's like, fucking, we study the ancients. We want to rise to their level because they're like, hey, the planet's awesome. And we want to be like, yeah, planet's totally awesome. Neo Midgar. And during that PowerPoint, they show the summons. The manifestation of the will of the ancients, I think is how they put it. But I think they talk about that too. How materia, and they talk about it in this game, how materia is not natural. Materia is condensed life stream. It's condensed Mako. It is taking a big bag of shredded cheese and then just smashing it into a big ball, a big dense clump. And materia it's a piece of the planet's consciousness. And the ancients are part and parcel of the planet's consciousness. So when you take Lifestream, Mako, and you condense it and you smash it into a ball, you can sort of link with it, channel it, or channel it into yourself or channel into it, however you want to phrase it, and you could call upon the power of the ancients, and it can manifest in different ways. Now, how they can differentiate, like, hey, this ball of condensed life stream translates to you using a very powerful fire spell. I have no idea. I have no idea how they do that. The life stream is supposed to be the thoughts, memories. It's a... What is up with that? I just noticed that my what the fuck is that? Something is moving across my little logo in the corner. My G in guilty was like all lit up, and now it's moved from the U to the I. Is that a thing? Is that something? What is that? Is that a thing? It's not the game. If it was the game behind my logo, it would have stayed still. It's now moved to the L. I didn't know I did that. Oh, fuck. Okay. It'd be cool if it wasn't white. It's super subtle. It'd be cool if it was like blue or something, and if it was faster. Anyway. so Materia, and you see this in the remake too. Scarlet is sitting there supervising these scientists, and if you play the OG game, you know that they're trying to develop huge Materia. Huge Materia plays a point in the plot later on in the story, but Huge Materia, I'm trying to remember why they were working on it anyway. Because it's not like they developed Huge Materia so they could use it against Meteor. They had it already. I think that was what the Junin canon was running off of. Maybe they're just trying to create like giant Mako batteries. I don't remember the context of Huge Materia. I apologize for somebody who professes to know so much about Final Fantasy VII. I cannot seem to explain why Huge Materia. But anyway, that's what they're working on, and it's how they develop Materia in the first place. I don't know how they infuse ice magic or lightning magic or restorative magic into Materia. I don't know how that works. I don't think it's ever been explained, but it just does. And they talk about the summons. The summons are like powerful manifestations. They are very unique, very strong expressions of the Ancients' knowledge. And it goes through a sort of anthropomorphized. Fuck! Anthropomorphized. Why can't I say the fucking word? Okay. Personification. Let's just stick with that motherfucker of a word. It takes the knowledge of the ancients and it personifies it. Anthropomorphized. God damn it, I can't say the fucking word. It takes the knowledge of the ancients and makes it into a fucking dragon, or Shiva, the ice goddess, or Ifrit, the fire god, fire devil, fire. He's based off of the Jinns of Hindu, I want to say. Whatever. And they'll explain that like in story, like summons are not typical expressions of magic, you know, they're super powerful, blah blah blah. And as hard as they might try to make it easier for you to suspend your disbelief by explaining things in universe, they can hard as they may try, I think they're doing an all right job. I mean, I don't know. I'm not giving them enough credit. I think Remake is great. I think everything they're doing in Remake is cool. I like what lies ahead. I'm excited for what lies ahead. That's why I'm wanting to do this hard mode run, and this as a hard mode / speculation series that I want to do. Every chapter was going to be like, so this is what's happening right now. How does it compare, contrast to the OG? Because that is the point of the Whispers, the Harbinger, the Arbiter of Fate, is that how things are supposed to be, that is what the planet is interested in maintaining. And Sephiroth is fucking around with that. And the planet's like, whoa, dude, we can't be having this. So it tries to fix shit, and Sephiroth just gets in the way. So I'm really looking forward to going through all that and talking about it and just playing the remake through hard mode again. Now that I got all the manuscripts, everybody's maxed out, and I've been watching so many different videos, so many different strats, just people mopping the fucking floor with this game. The no damage hard mode runs that I've seen, holy shit. And they just stagger and pressure the fuck out of every boss they come across. It's like, bro, you broke the game. Now, I took pride in breaking in beating the brakes off of Final Fantasy VIII. Not the first time I played it. The first time I played all these games, 7 and 8. Not 9. 9, I went out of my way to try to get everything. I didn't. I couldn't get Excalibur, because I'm not gonna make it to the end game in fucking what, 8 hours, 9 hours? No, that's fucking impossible. But I did go back through and play Final Fantasy VIII a few years ago, and I just beat the fucking brakes off it. And then I played it again early this year, before Remake came out, before Doom Eternal, when they came out with 8 Remastered, and I made that game my bitch. With the card game and the junction system, card mod is how you take a game that I guess could have been challenging initially, and you just bend it over the table and you just fuck it up. You get the right cards, you mod them into the right high-level spells, you junction them to the right stats, you just keep playing the card game, you keep winning cards and modding them into high-level magic spells and junctioning that to stats. You will have that game owned by the end of Disc 1. You will have that game in the palm of your hand, begging for mercy at a point when it ain't supposed to be that easy. It ain't supposed to be that broken. And you can get Lionheart, you can get Squall's ultimate weapon by the end of Disc 1. If you play your cards right, if you do everything right. And it was the pursuit of that. I was just like, let's fucking go. And to do that and to see that and just watch this game just fall apart before my power, before me and my ever-growing power. There was just something so satisfying in that. So right here, I'm going to cut away here in a second because I start to explore the missions in this game, the side quests, if you will, and there are a few. And it gives you opportunities to level up or to increase your materia, but the way this game approaches look at this shit. The way this game approaches leveling up, it's pretty random, and it's difficult to grind. And you can grind in these missions, but at best, you're going to earn a lot of soldier points towards materia fusion and God knows what else, and you're going to earn a lot of gil. That's pretty much all I could tell you. You could benefit, that's pretty much all I could say. How you'd benefit from grinding this game is you get a lot of gil, and you get SP, and there's these random chances where you could level up. Because you're in a mission. You're not in the story, so it's not like leveling up is predetermined to match up with story beats. But I don't know. There's a lot of missions, and we'll skip all of them to move on to what's next. So I'm keeping this mission in, though, because it is with the summon. It's with Ifrit. And it's kind of tough. He smashes me up pretty good, and I try to get him in a lock with, I try to blizzard his ass, and he just keeps getting me. But I can, oh god damn. I try to get him like in a locked blizzard loop if I just keep dropping blizzard on him, because I'm able to do that with some enemies, but clearly it wasn't working so far. And I forgot, in this game the summons will trigger FFVs whenever they do their ultimate attack, their desperation move, if you will. Ifrit's Hellfire And we have this pretty sick FMV here. Later, I will fight Bahamut, and he does Mega Flare like 15 fucking times. And every fucking time he does Mega Flare, it's an FMV. You're just sitting there like, Jesus. Gotta sit through this shit again. Thankfully, with the emulator, you can just fast forward through it. Fast forward through anything. Excuse me. That you don't have patience for. But here we fight Ifrit, and I think we earn Ifrit materia, if I remember correctly. I was reading on Reddit earlier, some people talking about Crisis Core, a few people kind of hoping that they, not remake it, but I guess remaster it, like for PlayStation 4 or whatever. I guess because of Zack's, well, I wouldn't say emphasis in the remake, but I mean, that scene with him before you go into the Singularity, I mean, that's clearly centered around him. So now he's been pulled into, yeah, effort material, like that. So Zack's been pulled into the remake universe, you could say. They're not forgetting him, and it would seem that he's alive when he's supposed to be dead. So he might have some significance in the remake going forward. So people are wondering, are they going to do anything with Crisis Core? Because for newcomers, they have no freaking clue who Zack is. But if you know who Zack is, that sort of spoils one of the big, I guess, twists of the OG game. So, I don't know what people expect them to do. Look at that dramatic ass shit. Cut the shell in half. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what you expect if you're gonna keep the twists, if you're gonna keep some of the stuff close to the chest, then okay, yeah. Fans aren't gonna know who Zack is. And that's fine. It's okay. But people were talking about it'd be cool if they remade it. Other people were expressing their gripes over Crisis Core. And yeah, there are a few of the reels, the DMW. It is a little different. It's not really explained in game, like what it is, or well, I mean, I guess you could read the tutorial, but I don't know. It's an interesting mechanic that isn't. It's not really explained, like how it. I don't know. Like I said, I guess it is explained in the tutorial, but it's just an odd thing. Some people have issue with that. I do from time to time, like when they're spinning and it lands on the silhouettes. You know, these are people that Zack hasn't met yet. But if the DMW, the digital mind wave, that's supposed to like represent his emotions, his state of mind, how the fuck can he think about people that he hasn't met yet? I don't understand how that works. So, it's just it's a peculiar thing. And I mentioned earlier that you don't level up typically in this game. It's the reels. The reels dictate whether Zack levels up. The reels dictate whether your materia levels up. So you can't really. I mean, I guess you could grind, doing like missions over and over again, and just get lucky triggering reels. But it's all a roll of the dice.
This is Genesis's home.
So there's that, and then there was a complaint I saw in there about this game just being a series of corridors between battles. And I mean,
was mine.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like this Banora level, you start off here,
They
you
weren't mere
work your way
acquaintances.
up to
They
that
grew up
boss
together
fight just now with
and
that
best
big
friends.
robot, that mech thing.
So Genesis
And now you're gonna go
deserts
through
and gets
another
his best friend Angeal to join him.
sort of
Is that it?
corridor to the next
Sephiroth
fight,
believes
and it's
that's
just
the case.
I don't know.
There,
I don't know. It's okay.
a gravestone, still very new.
Looks pretty good
Zack,
for a PSP
go
game.
find Angeal's house.
Anyway, so we're in Banora. This
I'll
is
check the grave.
Angeal's and Genesis's hometown.
Ugh. So Turks always do this stuff.
Angeal's
Someone
story
has to do it.
Must be
about
rough.
Don't worry.
not stealing
We're
from
paid
his
much better than you are.
friend.
No way.
There you go. Angeal and Genesis are not just like co-workers or anything. They are childhood friends. They're childhood friends, and Sephiroth is in there too. So they're all buddies. So now we're gonna go down here to the town, and we're sort of looking around for clues. We're gonna go to Angeal's house, see where we can find the dude. Like, where the hell did he go? And I'm going to inadvertently go straight to his mother's house. And I hate that. I wanted to explore. I wanted to go through some of these houses. Excuse me. And I end up picking the right one right away, and I did not intend to do that. I think more evidence that Crisis Core, like elements of it, have been carried over into the remake. Like, look, I could examine that. Maybe I couldn't go in there. Let's pay attention to that prompt. The prompt said examine. If the next prompt when I go to Angeal's house says like enter or something, well then
Greetings, ma'am.
it wouldn't have made a difference. So I don't need to
Angeal's mother?
kick myself in the butt for going into the right house
My name is Zack.
first time. Anyway, I was watching a Battle Rush FF7 remake video last night, and Roche, which I could have sworn his name was going to be pronounced like Rocky or something. So there's a newscaster here, and his name is spelled exactly the same, and it's pronounced Rocky. So before the game released, I was like, oh, maybe that's how they're going to say his name, instead of like Roach or Roche.
You're not
Nope,
here together with Genesis,
it's
are you?
Roche.
No, I'm not. Don't worry.
And I was like,
What is
oh,
happening with my son?
okay, we're all right,
I'm
sure.
not really
all right.
sure.
I thought the name was gonna be, kind of. I
Genesis
thought they were gonna get a
came
little
back
creative with it, but
A
no.
month
Anyway,
ago with an army of
Roche
robots,
he's a soldier 3rd class, and he has that
and they
same
proceeded
sword
to take the
that
lives of
Zack
many
has.
townspeople.
And I don't
Genesis,
think
He
the
used to be
standard
such a good
issue
boy.
soldier sword
Is
is
Angeal...
represented anywhere else.
He came here
In the original game, they have like these
He left
crazy,
his sword
like
and went off
cone-shaped
somewhere.
looking swords. They look nuts. They look like lances or something. But you get the swords here, and
That sword represents our family's
Roche
honor.
has that same sword in
I see.
remake. So it just goes to show, and I've said this already ad
He never
nauseum,
uses this sword.
that there's
really,
just
ever.
different elements from the other games that are in remake.
I'll take care of Angeal.
The Buster Sword, though,
You
looks
should
very
go
different.
And
The
hide
Buster
somewhere.
Sword here has
Don't
that
be
weird
concerned.
sort of decorative handguard,
Genesis
and it is not like that in
cannot harm
remake.
you.
That's gone through some changes. But I think the remake's version of the Buster Sword is more true to the original game's representation of it. Except for those, like, crazy grooves and stuff. Anyway, so here's Angeal's mom. Genesis came through and killed a bunch of people, but there's no evidence of that, which could be another reason why people might want this game like remade or remastered. just because what could the PSP do? PSP probably couldn't. So Angeal's dad had that sword specifically made for him. So it's a family heirloom, more or less. Which, I don't know, they don't really go into that. I mean, you don't, in the original game, it's like, oh, that sword used to be Zack's. But in this game, you find out, oh, that sword used to be Angeal's. But Angeal doesn't really have any significance outside of this game. There is this emphasis on legacies and carrying forward memories and honor and shit in this game. And I guess the Buster Sword is supposed to represent that. So I guess there's this new meaning behind the sword that originally didn't have. And I don't know, it's whatever. I don't really have an opinion on that. I can't remember if the remake says anything in the description of the Buster Sword. I think it does. Which is another subtle nod to the Buster Sword's history. Alright, so we cut a good bit out. Tseng found this warehouse or whatever. He thinks it's where Genesis and maybe Angeal could be.
Were in that grave.
Wait, he
Discloses
his own
that
We can't expect reason from him.
Genesis's family
What about
was in his
Angeal?
grave.
he wasn't
So
at
the
the
dude's
house.
going freaking nuts. Patricide and
Give me
matricide.
time.
And
If
we're
I find
wondering if
Angeal,
Angeal's
I
gonna
can
go
talk
down
to
that
him.
road too.
If
So
I can convince Angeal,
Genesis
maybe
first
Genesis will
goes
come back to me.
AWOL. He disappears when he's supposed to go to Wutai,
Chose you.
and everybody's like,
Genesis
"What the
and
hell?"
Angeal.
And not only did he
Those two
disappear,
were
but
Sephiroth's
he
only friends.
took a bunch
want to
of
fight them.
other soldiers with
That's
him,
why he
and I don't
refused
mean
the
like
mission.
soldiers like in the
Well,
traditional
Angeal
sense,
is my friend
soldiers
too.
like big
He's
S,
counting
big
on
O,
you
big L
to bring
soldiers.
them both back.
So he disappears,
short.
goes AWOL,
Let's
makes a
go.
bunch of soldiers go AWOL with him, and now it seems that he's sort of slipping into insanity because it seems he murdered his own family. And according to Angeal's mother, he's killing people around here. So it makes you wonder, like, what in the hell is going on with him? What's he doing? And it just dawned on me that all these all these Genesis copies, those are soldiers. Those are the soldiers that that ran away, that went AWOL with Genesis. Well, there's so many of them. And we'll eventually see pods that these Genesis copies are in. And they're more or less being grown. Now they go into that in the OG game a little bit. They show off what are referred to as machinoids, I think in not in the game, I think in external media. But there's these monsters in these tanks, and they used to be people. They used to be either regular people or they used to be soldier, and they get just inundated in Mako. And Professor Hojo starts screwing around with Genova and Sephiroth's cells and tissue. So he's like, hey, we're gonna take a person and we're gonna just drown them in Mako and then put Genova directly into their bodies, or put Sephiroth's stuff, which has Genova in it, into these people's bodies, and we're just gonna see what happens. So here Genesis has a legion of guys who that's why they are soldier, is because they were showered, I think is the verb they often used in Mako. So what happens if you give them more? And what happens if you take Genesis's own... What happens if you take his own stuff? His own blood and cells and what have you, and introduce that to the equation? What could happen? Well, evidently, whatever freaking science is involved here, it changes them into knockoff Genesis copies. So here we got a little battle with a bunch of Genesis assassins. Oh my god. Ugh. So here we have a battle with a bunch of G assassins, a bunch of Genesis copies here, just rushing in one after another. And here's that reel again with these silhouettes, and it's like, how does that even work? Like his mood is normal. Now I think we might have noticed that earlier, that his limit, I think, is a reflection of his current emotional state, and right now he's normal. At other moments, it could be elevated, where it'll be high, or heavenly, or sky high, or some shit. So, okay, we're talking about Zack's mental state, his emotional state, and if the reels are supposed to be representative of his thoughts, his concerns, he's in battle and he just thinks about, and that happens too in some of these, that he gets a flashback to a battle or training with Angeal or with Sephiroth, and then they pop up in the reels, and that's why you see the flashback in the first place, is because that's who it's going to land on, right? That's who it has landed on. So they just kind of flesh out like, oh, you know, there's this history that you don't see in the game, really, that you don't get to play through, you know, because when you pick things up, Genesis is gone. You team up with Angeal for one mission, and then he just disappears too. So you're like, what the fuck? But then they show here, like, oh, you know, there is a prior relationship between Zack and Angeal. There is a prior relationship, excuse me, between Zack and Sephiroth, and that pops up in the reels, and it plays out.
Ripples form on the
plays out in little
surface.
cutscenes. So here's Genesis. We finally find Genesis. He's sitting here reading this fucking book. He's all about this play. Fucking loveless.
Settle down. Zack the puppy.
I guess Angeal always referred to Zack as a puppy because he was just a... So here's Genesis copy.
The grave at the house.
So there,
We
that's,
found the
I'm gonna
remains of our
guess,
people there as well.
is,
It didn't take much to have them send false reports. Just some mild threats.
They would have done that anyway.
I'm gonna guess that those
At least
are
your
the
parents would have.
soldiers that ran away and went AWOL with
My
him.
parents betrayed me. They had always betrayed me from the very beginning.
Otherwise, where else
What do
are these
you
copies coming
know?
from?
Sinra lapdogs?
Oh, damn, son got fucked up. Now he's on fire. And then here comes Angeal
Welcome,
to step in
partner.
between Genesis and Zack. And somehow he
I
got
see. You
Zack's
finally made
sword.
your decision. I'll respect your wishes, old friend. However, can you really live on that side?
Angeal!
So it's hard to tell what's going on with Angeal here. He doesn't say anything. He gets in between Zack and Genesis, but then he shoves Zack out of the way. and you're just kind of wondering like, what is going on with this dude? So we're gonna skip a lot of bullshit here. We're gonna skip ahead. So Zack goes through the warehouse and he's trying to follow them. And here comes Tseng with his freaking gun. Finally, he uses the damn thing. Trying to look like a badass, but anyway, now he's like, "Oh, we gotta go! Oh, we gotta go!" But what the hell? So Tseng's here, and he says an airstrike. Shinra's gonna launch an airstrike against Banora. We're going to level this town because that's just what you do. And so Tseng implies like, "Hey, are you sure there's nobody in town that we need to, be concerned with? Are you sure there's nobody we need to worry about?" And there's a stupid ass mini game. I'm gonna skip through that where Genesis and his men are bombarding this town with like these shells and rockets or whatever the fuck, and you have to use the color of these shells and a sound of the fuse going off or whatever, and that's your timing to cut these things in half, just like he did earlier when that mech shot the shit at him. And it's just, I was sitting there like, why am I doing this? What do what now? Why? This is stupid. So I cut that shit out. And then I didn't mean to trigger this so fast. There was another item or two hidden on the other side of the fountain, and I thought if I just crossed over there, I would be able to get it. And fucking nope. Because the door's open and I got apparently too fucking close to it, it triggered. And I don't know what I missed out on. And I try to go see if I can find it, and nope, it's gone now. So I was a little pissed about that. This whole thing, like I thought that I fucked up going straight to Angeal's house inadvertently. I thought I fucked up, but I don't think I missed much. And then what the fuck? She's dead. Chair's knocked over. She's dead. And there he is.
What the hell did you do, Angeal? Is that your idea of honor?
Kind of like the voice acting here. Zack's pretty pissed.
My mother could not continue to live. And
here in a minute when
can the sun.
What are you talking about? What's going on here?
I told you,
yeah,
you can't live on that side anymore.
when Genesis comes out, Zack's voice actor, he does pretty good.
Angeal!
I'm just gonna trip you.
Angeal!
My friend, do you fly away now? To a world that abhors you and I?
Shut up!
All that awaits you
Shut up! I'm warning
is a
you!
somber morrow. No matter where the winds may blow.
Shut the fuck up with this stupid
I
ass
don't
book.
see Sephiroth today, but are you game?
So, I guess it's implied that Genesis summoned Ifrit in that first fight, Wutai, and here's Bahamut. And I wasn't sure if this was a fight that I could win. Like, I wasn't sure if story-wise I was supposed to lose or what. I don't lose. It was a challenge. Bahamut kept using fucking Mega Flare on me. So I was pretty surprised that I beat him, that I won. So, it doesn't come without much effort. He's way the fuck over there. Like, did he get him? So you have to have the right materia equipped. You have to have the right magic materia. Lightning won't reach him. Blizzard and fire could. But when he's on those platforms outside the stage, that's really all you can do. Otherwise, you're just standing there with your dick in your hand. And I never use guard. Like this entire time, I totally forget I can use guard. Alright, here comes Mega Flare. Another pretty badass FMV. That's what they do when the summons use their desperation move. You really can't even call it that. Desperation move is like, I'm about to die, so this is my trump card. These fuckers, Muhammad does this like 3 fucking times. And I think I fast forward through all the other ones, because I'm like, alright, I've seen this already, let's fucking go. So they're just using this just to lay waste to you. They're not wasting any time. They're like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna use Mega Flare. He doesn't. But yeah, we'll just let this fight speak for itself. And, yeah, I think this will be it. Thanks for spending time with me. I will try to do a better job of making sure my microphone and stuff works before I record, so I'm not doing shit after the fact. Even though I was able to provide, I think, a bit more commentary. See, here it goes again. Fucking Mega Flare. Just get this shit out of here. Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. And we're done. I think if I'm recording after the fact, as opposed to during gameplay, I could speak to a broader range of things instead of like what's happening on screen. Because it really is difficult for me to, I don't know how some people do it. It's difficult for me to like play and talk about something other than what I'm doing. So in this game, when there's a lot of running between A and B and you're fighting and you're doing all this shit, it's you'd think it'd be kind of easy in that interim time to talk about something else, anything else. Because what the hell are you doing? You're just running around. But no, for me, I guess I can't. God, here we go again. I guess for me, I just can't really can't multitask like that. I don't know. But yeah, we'll let the rest of this battle speak for itself. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by. Again, thank you for spending time with me. Appreciate it. Oh look, it's done. So maybe we, I keep thinking, alright, we're gonna wrap shit up, and then something happens, and I'm gonna talk about something else. So here's the Bahamut materia. I'm like, oh sweet, cool. Let me get that. But it doesn't unlock Bahamut in the DMW, and I'm like, wait, does it?
Summons aren't meant to be used like this. What happened to dreams and honor?
We are monsters. We have neither dreams nor honor.
And he can just fly away with his one wing. So, well, Genesis has some problems. And if you have seen anything
Soldier.
from the remake Endgame,
Doesn't mean monster.
when that wing pops out, it might have seemed a little familiar. And then here comes the airstrike. So this town with the dumb apples, we're just gonna completely wipe it out. However, you do see ads for the Banora white apples in remake, so I don't know. Maybe the town wasn't completely destroyed. It sure looks it. But they've added locations to the FF7 world since the original game. So maybe in the remake, we will find Banora, or at least the ruins of Banora. I don't know. But this concludes this chapter. We finally confront Genesis and find out he is a smug bastard that really likes that fucking play. And we're going to hear a lot of it. So, anyway, for the final time, thank you for stopping by.
Angeal. It's over.
We'll see you in the next
Everyone feel
video.
happy.
Like, subscribe, do
As for me-
whatever you want. And, yeah, have a good one.
That sword represents our family's honor.
You're a little more important than my sword. But just a little.
Where did you go? Zack here.
It's been a while, Zack.
Sephiroth.
Come to Lazard's room.
Oh, all right.